Okay, we'll start with this. Unified welterweight champion Lauren Price wants Katie Taylor fight in Irish farewell. Taylor is arguably the greatest female boxer of all time, but she recently announced that she is planning just one more outing before retirement. The 39-year-old Taylor, formerly undisputed at lightweight and currently unified junior welter, is hoping the farewell fight can take place at Croke Park, though she would need a credible dance partner to justify an event at the 82,000-seat Gaelic Games Stadium. Price, who holds the Ring magazine, WBC, IBF, and WBA titles at welter, is hoping the opportunity to fight for belts in a third weight class could tempt Taylor into selecting her as an opponent. She's essentially hoping that Katie Taylor will move up.
Yeah, I don't think that's likely.
They need a big name in the sport, and when I look at it, I'm an Olympic champion and so is she, Price told The Ring. I look at it from a fan's perspective as well. This is Wales versus Ireland. We're both Celts. I'd love to go over to Ireland and send a lot of Welsh fans over there. I see it on an international rugby day when Wales plays Ireland. It's absolutely mental. I do believe that could be a great fight in the summer. 100% Taylor's last outing was her majority decision win over Amendia Serrano on July 11th at Madison Square Garden, which completed her hat trick of points wins against the Puerto Rican star.
Once again, it just isn't likely that Katie Taylor at 39 years old is going to venture to a new weight class to fight a naturally bigger, younger fighter who's lightning fast. Just as fast as Katie used to be when she first debuted as a pro.
Taylor, who successfully defended her 140-pound Ring magazine title in her last fight, is currently tied 1-1 after 2 fights with England's Chantel Cameron, and a trilogy clash between the pair has been suggested for Croke Park. Cameron is scheduled to face Michaela Kotaskova for the vacant WBO junior middleweight title on April 5th at Olympia in London. The day before, the 31-year-old Price will defend her belts against mandatory challenger Stephanie Pinedo at Cardiff International Arena. She is then scheduled to get married in May. She hopes to cap a memorable summer by facing Taylor in one of the biggest women fights of all time. It would be a chance for her to fight for titles in another division, Price said, and you see us girls, we move through the weights because of the talent and the opportunities that are around. But I think when you've got big names in the sport, they can make for great fights, and that's what this would be. I absolutely respect Katie Taylor, like it would be an honor to share the ring with her. She's someone who I looked up to over my career. She's done phenomenal, not just for women's boxing, but boxing in general, and she put Ireland on the map. I would love to fight one of the best out there. Katie?
I'm not expecting Katie Taylor to take up Lauren Price on her offer to defend her titles against her. I've been a fan of Katie Taylor from the moment she debuted, from the moment she went pro. She's the one who turned me on to women's boxing.
So I don't say this easily, that at this point, Lauren Price would beat Katie. She'd be too big, too young, too fast. Thus, I don't expect Katie Taylor to roll the dice that way in what would be her swan song, her farewell fight. I would sooner expect Katie to run it back with Natasha Jonas, who from the moment their initial meeting ended, she's expressed an interest in fighting her again. I would sooner expect Katie to fight Natasha 2 times than Lauren once.
But you can't fault Lauren for trying, for asking.
Feels like Lauren Price is on another planet right now. She only fought once, just once, in the previous year.
Feels like she's so far away from everything and everyone. Still being promoted by Boxer, who now's in bed with the BBC.
The big black cock?
The British broadcast channel. Boxer has done well enough by Lauren Price that they were able to get her to not 1, not 2, but 3 separate alphabet titles in the welterweight division. But that feat, I think Matchroom could have easily done the same and more for Lauren Price, who to me just isn't active enough and isn't seen enough.
Across the Atlantic, here in the United States, Ben Shalom is not as well known as an Eddie Hearn. Boxer, here in the United States, is not as recognizable a promotion as Matchroom. And thus, if Lauren were with Matchroom, I think she'd get seen a lot more. I think she'd get talked about. I think she'd be more active.
Matchroom!
The decision that she made years ago to go with Boxer instead of going with Matchroom, I don't think is aging well. Now, she's got a fight coming up in April against unbeaten Stephanie Pinedo, and I still don't know how we're supposed to watch it.
Does Boxer even have a U.S. broadcast partner anymore?
She's losing visibility over there, and that's all there is to it. Men's junior middleweight news with Virgil Ortiz out of the mix. Eddie Hearn seeks a new 4-4 Boots Ennis for what is his May return. Ennis and Ortiz were tied to the hip over the last 5 months for a fight that never materialized and isn't about to. Getting a deal done became nearly impossible once Ortiz and promoter Golden Boy got entangled in a lingering legal situation. Ortiz sued Golden Boy in January and tried to secure a deal with a third party. The WBC interim junior middleweight champion's preferred path was officially blocked by a Nevada judge Tuesday. Both parties will now head into arbitration to settle the dispute,
Which we've covered painstakingly the last few weeks.
While Ortiz appears sidelined for the foreseeable future, Matchroom Boxing head Eddie Hearn is shifting focus towards other fights for Ennis. I guess that legal scenario can be settled instantly, or it can never be settled, Hearn told The Ring on Friday. But we're moving on with Jaron Ennis. In a sense, of that door for Ortiz is still open. If we get something else done, we go in for it. We've started to make plans. With that respect, I will never really give up on Ennis versus Ortiz. It's the best fight in American boxing. We'll have to see. But right now, we are obviously planning the future of Jaron Ennis. Josh Kelly is obviously a fight that can be made. The Xander Zayas fight is a huge fight in America as well. Jermell Charlo has been on. There is a whole host. We will get Boots a big fight. He will fight in May. Hearn also promotes England's Kelly, who won the IBF junior middleweight title by scoring an upset majority decision against Bakram Murtazaliev January 31st in Newcastle.
Why did you say castle like that?
On that same night in Puerto Rico, Xander Zayas further solidified his position in the weight class by beating Abbas Baru unanimously on points to unify titles in the division. Zayas holds the WBA and WBO titles. Prior to beating Murtazaliev, Hearn said Kelly had already signed on to fight Ennis, but Kelly shared that Ennis wasn't the be-all and end-all plan immediately after securing the title. Ennis, a former Ring Magazine, IBF, and WBA welterweight champion, made his junior middleweight debut in October and stopped Luis Malima in the first round. He wants a crack at one of the divisional crowns in his next fight. Ennis is ranked number 5 by The Ring at junior middleweight. Ortiz is ranked at number 1. Zayas is at number 3, and Kelly is at number 6. The Ring title is vacant. The other champion in the division is WBC champion Sebastian Fundora, who's ranked at number 2.
So he mentioned Josh Kelly, he mentioned Xander Zayas, and he even mentioned former undisputed champion Jermell Charlo as potentials for Boots Ennis. I don't think it's going to be Zayas, because it would take a lot of money to get Xander Zayas to cross over from Top Rank over to Matchroom for a one-off situation. More money, I think, than Matchroom and DAZN are willing to kick out.
And in the previous week, Xander Zayas was quoted as saying that Top Rank already have a date set aside for him for a fight in his native island of Puerto Rico. I don't see Boots going to Puerto Rico, but I don't see Xander going over to Matchroom either, so I don't think it's going to be Xander.
I don't think it's going to be Jermell Charlo either, because what Jermell Charlo is expecting is for someone to pay him a fortune 2 or 3 years out from his last fight, however long it's been, and it simply isn't worth it. He doesn't have the name value at this time to warrant that kind of spending. I think it's a fight that can be built. There is some value in it, but if you just go straight in like this, people are going to think you're cashing out. It's been a long time since you had a fight, and even longer since you made junior middle, so I don't think it's going to be Jermell.
And it's not going to be Sebastian Fundora either, because Sebastian is already spoken for, set to return to action in late March, which would make for too quick a turnaround to then fight Boots in May.
Yeah, I doubt it.
And I don't think Sebastian's interested in fighting Boots. I don't think his handler, Simpson Lukowicz, is interested in making that fight anyway. So it's not going to be Sebastian, it's not going to be Jermell, and it's not going to be Xander. It's going to be Josh Kelly.
Why?
Proximity. He's right there on the same side of the street as Matchroom. DAZN wanted to deliver a big fight in order to spruce up what's supposed to be their ultimate tier. And they wanted that fight for Boots to be the Ortiz fight, but as you can see, Ortiz is not available. Josh Kelly is. So what they're going to do is throw a bit of money at this thing, enough that Josh Kelly would be willing to voluntarily defend the red and gold title against Boots because he doesn't have to. Because Bakram Murtazaliev to Boots Ennis is a tough sequence of fights, and you have to make it worth Josh Kelly's while. He just took on the bogeyman that nobody wanted to take on in the last calendar year. And now what you want him to do is fight Boots. You better pay him to do it, if that's what you want, and that's what I think DAZN wants. They want the kind of fights that they can bill as pay-per-views for their ultimate tier. You think they're gonna make this a pay-per-view? I do, which is why I don't see the value in what's supposed to be DAZN's ultimate tier, and I've yet to subscribe to it. All they're doing is taking fights that would have normally been regular fights on a regular schedule, then putting them behind a paywall, charging you extra, so that they can then say, hey, if you want to save a few bucks, sign up to the ultimate tier, and you'll get this as part of your subscription, when in all actuality, all you're doing is finding different ways to charge your subs more money. If they make Kelly versus Boots, I think they're going to bill it as a pay-per-view in the United Kingdom, and a pay-per-view in the United States. I don't know that in either of those markets that's a hot enough ticket to put it behind a paywall, but if they make it, that is what I think they're going to do. And that's the best that they can do in the absence of the Virgil Ortiz fight that they wanted to make so bad. Unfortunately, Virgil's all tied up. Golden Boy can't deliver it, so this would be the next best thing, putting Boots in a title fight, because Boots is not at liberty to fight another bum. So everybody can relax. Boots will be back in May.
You need to relax and get back They told me to relax when you need to fucking start!
Men's cruiserweight news you may have heard already, that Jai Opetaia paid the sanctioning fee up front, still hoping to defend his IBF title when reports say he's set to be stripped. The Ring magazine has learned Australia's Opetaia is holding out hope that the IBF will change its stance at the 11th hour and sanction the fight between him and Glenton, because his ultimate goal still remains becoming undisputed champion, which would require the undefeated southpaw to hold on to his IBF title. Opetaia paid a sanctioning fee in excess of $80,000 in advance to the IBF. His new promoter, Zuffa Boxing, also provided the IBF's supervisor with a hotel suite in Las Vegas for Fight Week, a customary practice when sanctioning organizations oversee championship matches. They went as far as doing the second weigh-in, which only the IBF requires fighters to do. Thus, Jai Opetaia is doing everything he can to comply with their rules and regulations, and still, it is unclear why the IBF changed its position so close to fight night on allowing Opetaia to defend the title. Along with the Ring magazine and Zuffa Boxing belts, the IBF indicated in its above-mentioned statement that because it doesn't recognize Zuffa Boxing as a sanctioning organization in its bylaws, that it could not sanction Opetaia versus Glenton as a unification fight, and would therefore strip Opetaia of its title, which I think is bullshit, because the IBF doesn't recognize the IBO, and they didn't strip Anthony Joshua for fighting for both belts at the same time. They didn't strip Gennady Golovkin, so why are they now stripping Jai Opetaia? Because they don't recognize the Zuffa belt. Opetaia's IBF and Ring magazine titles were displayed on stage during their final press conference Friday night at the MGM Grand, as was the Zuffa Boxing belt. Zuffa Boxing continued to support Opetaia's position Saturday, and still planned to move forward with an IBF mandated second-day weigh-in Sunday morning. The IBF is the only one of boxing's four major governing bodies that requires second-day weigh-ins, which prohibit champions and challengers from gaining more than 10 pounds above a division's limit a day after the fighters weigh in. In this case, neither Opetaia nor Glenton would be allowed to weigh more than 210 pounds Sunday morning if the IBF were to reverse course and sanction their bout. The IBF supervisor assigned to Opetaia versus Glenton did not attend their weigh-in Saturday morning.
Because the IBF has already made up their mind.
Opetaia expressed to at least part of Zuffa Boxing's leadership group, which includes Ring Magazine owner Turki LL Sheikh, when he signed with the upstart promotional company, that he wants to keep his IBF title and continue to pursue the WBA, WBC, and WBO titles. Zuffa Boxing's decision makers ultimately want their belts to be recognized as the belt in boxing, but accepted Opetaia's position on becoming a fully unified champion. Regardless, he will defend his Ring Magazine title for the 8th time against Atlanta's Glanton, and they will fight for the first Zuffa Boxing belt in any division in a 12-round main event. Paramount Plus will stream from the Meta Apex, UFC's performance complex in Las Vegas.
So I can only tell you now what I told you before. If the IBF does end up stripping Jai Opetaia for the 2nd time, this time, because of his affiliation to Zuffa, I think it's unethical. I think it's wrong. I think you're castigating the fighter for who his promoter is. It's not about not recognizing the Zuffa belt because you don't recognize the IBO, but you never stripped anybody for holding that.
So for you to now strip Jai Opetaia for holding this, it's because of who his promoter is. And what I see some people saying is, well, Zuffa are the ones who started off by saying they wouldn't work with the sanctioning bodies.
Friend of the channel, Everything Boxing, said, either way, I can see why the IBF didn't want to sanction it. This is an organization that came in saying they don't want to work with the sanctioning bodies, and I'm sure that eventually will become the case. Why should a sanctioning body help someone that could ultimately lead to their demise?
But is that what Zuffa Boxing is doing? By having their own title for their own fighters? How does that impede you and your operation, especially when the fighter is compliant with all of your rules and regulations? Adhering to your 2nd day weigh-in, paying his sanctioning fees as a champion up front, he shouldn't get caught in the crossfire of all of this. He didn't do anything wrong. Reactions to the news are mixed, where Everything Boxing thinks the IBF were right to strip him.
If they strip him.
Veteran boxing scribe Marcos Villegas says the opposite. He says these sanctioning bodies keep shooting themselves in the foot. The IBF was not happy that their belt was not prominently displayed yesterday at the presser, so they pulled the sanction of the fight. Good grief. Just give them more fuel to get rid of you guys.
There are a lot of people that willfully choose not to go the IBF route because of that 10-pound rehydration cap, because of that 2nd day weigh-in, because of how stringent they are with their mandatories. There are a lot of fighters already that forego fighting for that belt, where Jai Opetaia is a 2-time IBF champion, and this is how you treat him because of your beef with his promoter.
Let's make something clear. Dana White and Zuffa Boxing never said they were going to run the sanctioning bodies out of business. All they did say was that they're not going to work with them.
All I saw Dana White say was that he's going to try to do his own thing. If they have now doubled back on that, and they've been compliant with all of your regulations, it's wrong.
It's unethical to strip Jai Opetaia over who his promoter is. They end up stripping him. I suppose that his dream of becoming undisputed champion dies on Sunday, because without that belt,
it don't happen.
I don't know that the other sanctioning bodies are going to take a hardline stance like the IBF is taking. We'll see. But if the Glanton fight costs him the red and gold title, he'll be back at square one Sunday night.